Well, good morning, YouTube friends and family. Are you snowed in? It's actually Tuesday here. It's going on 11 o'clock. Yeah, it's 11:18 actually. And we were only forecast here in Ohio to have, I think they said like 1 to 2 inches. And when I got up, I was like, oh no, something's happened. So the plows had not been by. Our schools are still virtual because of COVID. So they're not clearing the roads, and they're not really great where I live anyway about clearing the roads. So I turned on the news about 4:30, which is unusual for me, but I thought, I wonder how much we really got because it was still dark. And as of 4:30, we had received 6.8 inches, and it continued to snow until about 10 o'clock. It's going on 11:30 here now. So yeah, they missed it. Best guess, they missed it. So I was debating back and forth, like, what video do I want to do? And I have so many ideas. Sometimes it's hard to light on one to do, but I had a lot of sewing to do. So I thought, I know, I'll make myself a comfort meal and I'll bring you along with me. So it's not that special of a meal, but I'm going to have sort of a kick it up a notch meatloaf, baked potatoes, and then some carrots that I canned in onion soup mix over the summer. So make use of my pantry. My original thought when I thought about meatloaf was I put my sweet onion jam in the meatloaf and on top of the meatloaf. So when I went to get what I thought was my last jar, yeah, I'd already used my last jar. So they did not have Vidalia onions the last time I went to the grocery store, so I'll keep it on my list and hopefully I can can another batch because that's something I do go through. So let me share with you just a quick, easy way I do baked potatoes. So I know you can do baked potatoes in the microwave, right? Well, truth of the matter is I don't like them in the microwave except in a big pinch. So they get like a grainy or a mealy taste. So I'm going to bring out the sacred grease can. So this is actually full of bacon grease. And yes, I've washed my potatoes, baptized them thoroughly. And I'm going just to take, let me start down here so y'all can see. I'm just gonna take a little bit of bacon grease and I'm gonna rub it on the skin. Now, maybe you're saying, well, I don't like skin of potatoes, but sometimes when you bake it, it's tough, it's chewy, it's not very good. So if you want your filling to stay soft and not be so crusty, you need to oil it. And you could use vegetable oil and just rub it on there. You could use coconut oil. I think you could use olive oil as well, but hello, bacon grease, good. So I said it was a comfort meal. I didn't say it was a nutritious meal. And I do think part of any eating plan is planning for some cheat days, although I think sometimes I have more cheat days than I do stick with it days. So I'm just, buttering these guys up really good, just using a spatula. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some coarse salt. You can omit this step, but I'm telling you, it makes it really, really good. I need to get some bacon grease off here. And I'm just using some coarse sea salt. And get to the sifty part, not the, oh, I guess it doesn't have a sifty part. And we'll have to be careful here. I'm just gonna put a little bit of the salt on the top of the baked potatoes, and that will, melt into the delicious bacon grease. And we will have a high sodium, high fat baked potato. You don't need to poke your potatoes. You don't need to do anything else. And I always try to bake several up because they do keep well in the refrigerator. They do reheat well. If I'm gonna have the oven on for meatloaf for an hour, hour and 15 minutes, might as well get those baked potatoes cooked at the same time. All right, so we have our potatoes ready. And now I'm gonna switch around The configuration of my kitchen is not super conducive to recording, but I'm going to take you over here and we're going to put together a little of this and a little of that, kick it up a notch meatloaf. So stay tuned. Okay, well, I have you over here on the range because that's probably the most convenient way for me. And you'll notice I have a Band-Aid on my finger. I was carefully rotary cutting some of my canning mats and mitts. And guess what I did? I managed to cut my finger. So I am going to wear a glove, certainly not a requirement, but I don't want to get any blood in the food. That would not be good. So what I have here, I'm going to guess is close to 2 pounds of meatloaf. 2 pounds of meatloaf, 2 pounds of ground beef. Maybe should have gotten a little bit bigger bowl, but I think this will work. And I'm gonna just start by kind of breaking it up. This was actually in the freezer and thawed in the refrigerator, so, ooh-wee, it's cold. So, what do you put in your meatloaf? Well, I love onion, so I'm going to put 1 chopped, and this happens to be a Vidalia onion. Usually if they have them, that's what I purchase. I like the sweet onions. And I thought, okay, what's in my sweet onion jam? Well, and you gotta throw some on the stove. It's balsamic vinegar, brown sugar, and onions, and that's basically all that's in it. So I really don't want to put the sugar in there, but what I did was I kind of went through my salad dressings, and I found a Vidalia onion summer tomato dressing. So with my clean hand, oh, maybe, let me take it over here to the jar opener. Well, I'm coming back, guys, I promise. I do struggle with my hands. Okay, I'm gonna just put like some, and I actually got this from the Mennonite store, and I'm telling you, it is so tasty. So I just put, I don't know, maybe like a 1/4 cup. Then I'm going to put some Worcestershire, because I think one of the reasons people don't like meatloaf is it's too bland. My mom, bless her heart, was the worst meatloaf maker ever. And when I was a kid, I would just dread meatloaf days because it was terrible. And Mom doesn't watch my videos anymore, so I can say that. I'm gonna put some garlic in there. I don't know, maybe some for the stove. About 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons, probably 2 teaspoons will be good. And I'm not one to use a lot of salt, but I am going to put some salt in my meatloaf. Sometimes if you don't salt the meat while it cooks, that's really your opportunity to flavor it. And it's not very good if you, oh my goodness, if you don't salt it. Hang on, let me go to my under the counter jar opener. Obviously, I'm not very strong today, but I did decide I wanted to put some balsamic vinegar in it because I think that will add a nice tang. And what I generally do, I don't measure things. That was probably 2 tablespoons. And don't breathe in the vinegar. I will generally put all my liquid stuff in first and then whatever binding agent. So I'm just putting in some salt here. Probably about 1 teaspoon, and because I don't have 2 clean hands, I'm gonna use the pre-ground pepper, and I'm gonna put 1/2 teaspoon in. All right, next thing is I'm gonna crack an egg, and then let me see how moist this is. I actually got out 2 eggs because the volume of meat, I think it's gonna need 2 eggs. So if you're cooking for a lot of people, you can stretch your meatloaf pretty easily by adding more binding agent. I remember my mom just using plain bread. My little friend, when I was a kid growing up, her mom made good meatloaf, And she used saltine crackers, and that was pretty good too. But I have started using panko, and what I found is it's really, really good. And you can use a flavored panko. You know, they have spicy panko. I made one meatloaf that way. It was really good. You can get some with Italian seasoning. You can get it with added Parmesan cheese. Okay, I think we do need one more egg. So let's add another one of those. My hand is actually freezing because this meat was extra, extra cold. So just judging by the volume, this may take a little bit longer. So you just want to mix it until it's really incorporated. And it kind of depends. Do you want a loose meatloaf? Do you want a little sloppier meatloaf? Or do you want something that's a little more tightly bound? And I like a firm meatloaf. Okay, so to this, I am going to add some Parmesan cheese with my clean hand. Let me whack it on the counter. And let's see, maybe, probably around a 1/4 cup, because you do want some of that cheesy goodness. My son makes an amazing meatloaf, but he wraps it in bacon, like weaves the bacon together. Oh my goodness. It's so tasty. Okay. So we've got that pretty well mixed up. So I am going to now add some of my panko. Let's see if I can do this all one-handed. Hey, I'm doing pretty good with that. And this is actually a mix of the seasoned panko and plain panko, I think. Not really sure. But you just want to incorporate that all together. And then I'm going to put it into a loaf pan. I am going to spray the pan, so I'm going to have to stop and wash my hands and get out the cooking spray because you know I can't have everything ready. And I'll get this meatloaf into the pan and I'll bring you back to show you what it looks like. Okay, well, I have our meatloaf all in the pan. What I'm going to do is cover it with tin foil. I'm going to stick it in the oven here at 350. And I'm going to say this is probably going to take about an hour and 15 minutes, just the thickness of the meatloaf. And I'll start it in an hour. I'll check it. And then when we get close to being done, probably about the last 15 minutes, I will uncover it and I'm going to make a topping with some Hunt's tomato paste. I also wanted to share, here are my home canned carrots that I did these in September of 2020, and this will be the first jar I've eaten. So if any of you are like, I can't, but I'm a little iffy, I don't want to kill my family, and if you question at all botulism or you're worried about safety, simply open your jar and heat it well on your stovetop for 10 minutes, and that will kill anything that would happen to be growing. You know, always make sure that the seal is good, that it smells good, that it looks right. But I'm going to go ahead and open these up, and then I will be simmering these for quite some time so they'll get nice and tender towards the end of our cook. And I will bring you back to show you our completed comfort meal. So stay tuned. So while our meatloaf cooks, I thought I would bring you some information about the jar opener I use. And it's called an Easy Off. And I will leave a link to this down below in the description box to my Amazon affiliate store so that you can check it out for yourself. But on the right side here, now let me point, is the teeth, and they are quite sharp. The left side is what you put the jar against, and it will open anything from a nail polish bottle up to a wide mouth jar. And if you have trouble with your hands or your hand strength, this is a great little device that my son got for me, and it just screws into your cupboard. So while our meatloaf is cooking, I thought we would go ahead and make the topping, also known as awesome sauce. So what I've done is I've put the small can of tomato paste, and I just stuck it in a measuring cup, and I added about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. When I made the brown sugar, I probably made too much because it's gotten a little bit hard, so I wanted to make it ahead of time so that sugar can kind of dissolve and soften up. And in the meantime, I've put my little sugar bears in for a bath to absorb some water in it, and I'll try to soften it up that way. Okay, and I know this sounds really weird, but it is so good. Now I'm going to use my own homemade spicy brown mustard, but you want to put in there about 2 tablespoons, and I'm just going to use the rest of this because it's about 2 tablespoons, and I haven't forgotten. I know I need to can some more mustard, and I will be doing that for you. And then you can use either just plain white vinegar. You could use apple cider vinegar. I'm going to use some balsamic. And you want to put about 2 tablespoons of that. So you have a nice, flavorful sauce here that we will be spooning on top of the meatloaf to give it some oomph. So no boring meatloaf in the Clark house, for sure. All right, I'm going to set that aside, and I wanted to share with you, I finally got my prototypes done. So these are the mini mitts, and they just cover your fingers. So here's what I can tell you. I don't have small hands. I'm a short girl, but I have pretty large hands. I'm going to make a larger size, and I did them both ways with the contrast on the inside and the contrast on the back. So these might appear as part of our 4,000 hour giveaway as part of the gift. So I do like them, and I do think they'd be great, you know, to get out cookie sheets and things like that. Just for my hands, I'm going to go to the bigger size and adapt it a little bit. So we've got still probably about 30 minutes on our meatloaf. So stay tuned, and I'll bring you back to show you the topping. Well, our delicious comfort meal is all ready to go. Let me share with you. So our meatloaf, I put the awesome sauce on top for the last 15 minutes, uncovered it, and it's just baked on there, a nice savory, tomatoey topping. So here's my plate, guys. Baked potato, meatloaf, and home canned carrots and onion soup mix. So I'm gonna go enjoy some lunch here. I eat my big meal at noon-ish. It's like 1 o'clock here. And I hope you all stay safe if you're affected by this snow. And as always, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and I'll see y'all later this week. Take care.